Hey everyone, today I'm sharing a speed build that was done in the Sequoia cottage in the San Sequoia world. It's the one that's right next to the park, but I don't do speed builds very often, but this was a special occasion, so I do hope that you'll enjoy it. This is for my 10th generation of the Not So Berry challenge. I finally somehow miraculously made it to generation 10, and normally what I do for the houses, I'll either grab a tiny home from like Miss Griffey, or I'll just find a lot and I'll kind of rebuild or build onto it. But I've always tried not to spend too much time on the houses since I am doing this, speed run style. And even though I say I try not to spend too much time on the houses, I definitely do behind the scenes. But I figured since this is the last generation, we're gonna go out with a bang. We're gonna do something a little bit special. But as the description of the 10th generation blue says, we live a picturesque, kind of like perfect life. Everything from the outside looking in looks pretty perfect. And I don't want to say that this house looks perfect. It's definitely not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it definitely looks like the person or people living here, they have their life together. But it's all a facade for everything that's just below the surface. Because for Robin, my 10th generation heir, she is definitely all about having a perfect image. And I'm not going to give too many spoilers because the 10th generation, I don't have that episode out yet, but I will say that it didn't necessarily go the way I was expecting at first. There's a little bit of a plot twist that I'm kind of excited about. I was initially bummed and stressed about it, but I actually really like how it just further developed this backstory of the 10th generation blue, because they have the white picket fence, the loving spouse, perfect, picturesque life, beautiful children, and then there's the one-time secret affair that shakes up your life. You're gonna take it to your grave and you just dedicate the rest of your life to fixing your marriage, never admitting the mistake to anyone, and just being the best parent that you can be. So this house is definitely the beginning stages of that before we necessarily have the kids. And it's really here to make sure that, we're getting that start in our career. So there's big focuses on cooking, photography. I also include a laptop because we do need that for our career. We have to get to, I think, like level 6 or 8 in writing, but there's definitely a lack of the parenting skill of children thus far. But as I said before, one of the things I really like to do throughout these series is just to, and wow, I said series as if I do this all the time. In this specific series, what I've liked to do is just gradually grow the house as we kind of just get along in the challenge. So I definitely left certain spaces open for us to put, additional hallways, additional bedrooms, staircases. So, we're on a bigger lot as well, a 30 by 20. This house looks a little sad in the middle there initially, but again, the intent is to just grow out and grow in with it. But I kind of talked a little bit over the layout. I did have some initial issues because I was originally trying to keep it as like a micro home because I really wanted those skill boosts. But I then remembered that generally by the time I hit young adult with my Sims in this challenge, they already have like half the skills maxed anyway. So I figured regular tiny home was good enough, but we kept it exactly like 64 tiles, like to the T. So just trying to make sure that everything we need is included in here, and we just keep the look of just a very clean, like catalog, almost like Instagram model type of home. Like we don't see a whole bunch of personality from The Sims in here because we are trying to keep up just a very catered appearance. We don't want anyone to know or see all the mess that is just beneath the surface. I've also gotten into the habit of, I found I tend to play with the walls at like half height or like the half up walls, like cutaway walls, whatever. But you can see the back wall, but you can't see the walls on the inside. So I'm trying not to decorate those inner walls too much. I'm also trying not to have items that are too tall in the middle because they kind of block the view. And I like the idea of like a dollhouse cutaway where, from one frame, you can kind of see everything that's going on in the entire house. But That's also why I don't have like a full tub and bath in the bathroom. It just, with how the windows were lining up and everything, I didn't want it taking up the entire bathroom. So for now, we have just a basic shower. We'll get a tub later when we eventually have a kid. But I know I'm kind of jumping around a lot from room to room. Like I said, I don't normally record myself as I'm building, and honestly, this is just the perfect kind of like view into how my ADHD works. I just jump from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. Like as I find a certain picture or a clutter item that I think, oh, this will look nice in this one room, I then jump over there and then I'm in that room for like a couple minutes. And I was really trying in this video though, but hopefully it's not been too distracting. But I realized this bedroom definitely shows my dream home decorator bias. Like I don't care what anyone says. That pack was like just chef's kiss. Or maybe I'm just basic, but I'm always using those items. They're just neutral and cute and perfect. But I did try to keep it within like a handful of packs just to try to keep things consistent, because I don't know about anyone else, but sometimes it is really annoying when you're trying to match different things from different packs and like the wood tones just are just so slightly off that maybe at a glance you wouldn't be able to tell, but like when you're trying to find the perfect item, it's just so obvious. But I would say the packs that I use most commonly in here would be Dream Home Decorator, Parenthood, and then obviously a lot of Growing Together, since we're obviously building in the Sand Sequoia world. So we do want it to blend in with its neighbors and its surroundings, because again, we don't want to stick out. But in general, I was trying to keep the rooms more or less clean of too much clutter. Like I do fill most of the slots on the different tables and dressers and things like that, but it's more for the decor than for it to look fully lived in. For the blue generation and for Robin specifically in my game, her first trait was the perfectionist. So she was always just very clean, very tidy. Like she's always had either straight hair or like just clean bangs, not bangs, braids. No tears in her clothing. So I wanted every item in the house to feel very intentional. And I think the most mess that we have is like some magazines and some stuff from the Moschino pack, because obviously we have to include all of the photography. And I have to say, it was such a pleasant surprise / reminder that the photography skill is like a level 5 skill and not like a level 10 skill. Like, oh, that was so perfect. Especially considering the recent patch where they changed how photography works. Like, look, I say that it was perfect that, you know, Growing Together came out just in time for me to get to Blue Gen, but that patch, that was just cruel, okay? I have my gloomy sim. She's a little stressed because she's trying to be perfect in front of everyone, and now you're telling me we have to make friends the old-fashioned way. We can't just get friends by taking their pictures. Like, what is this, real life? I don't want real life. I want the Sims, okay? But of all the bugs they decide to patch, they choose the one that no one actually wanted patched. Okay, I see you, Sims team. But we're out here now, finally, with that white picket fence, and it's a little small right now because, again, I do want this house to really be a representation of the Blue Gen as they grow, because right now, right at the beginning, very focused on our image and how people are seeing us, very tidy, perfect, you know, white picket fence. There's gonna be a little bit of a shakeup, a little bit of a big event. And we're gonna kind of let things loose a little bit. So if you decide to watch my series, or if you're already watching my Not So Berry series, you'll see this house grow and develop as we kind of come into ourselves in this last generation. But I gotta say, the landscaping was a bit of a struggle because I didn't want it to just be like a perfect manicured lawn, because that's just so boring. But without kids so far, you know, we're not gonna have any like swings or monkey bars or anything like that to have outside. But I figure we may want a space to entertain guests. So we have a little picnic table out there, and then I finally remember that these planters exist in debug, and that adds like just enough depth where it makes me feel not so bad about having just like loose plants and bushes in the front yard. Because again, It's gotta be manicured. We gotta, we gotta pass the HOA. No violations in the berry house. But that's about it for this speed build. So if you enjoyed it, please let me know, and please be sure to tune in for that last episode of my Not So Berry speed run. But if you made it this far, please enjoy some screenshots, and thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you around next time. Bye.